We're going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there on YouTube. And also rate the show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. Make sure to download because it is draft season. And today we have 4 mock drafts that NFL.com and ESPN also dropped. And we were going to be covering the wide receivers and kind of breaking that down and talk about some of the main ones that we can target. But hey, with the mock drafts, I'm like, we got to call a little bit of an audible because I do want to talk about this because it's very interesting and the consistency that we're seeing across a lot of mock drafts. Like, quite frankly, it looks like a lot of the picks are kind of not necessarily set in stone, but I think everybody kind of has a mindset of what those picks should be. Also, if you're out there as well and you're new to the show, make sure to go down in the description and download our brand new draft guide. Actually, after this episode, I will be uploading a brand new version with even more people. So there's more linebackers that I just threw out there. So you want to make sure to download it, favorite the link so you can just keep on accessing that whenever you'd like. Joe, what's good, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Bear down to you too. Happy Tuesday. And 9 more days until the draft. Just absolutely crazy that the draft is right around there. Taka man, what is good too? So let's get into this. And let's start talking a little bit about these mock drafts because first one I want to go through, right? Because we're going to go through Mel Kiper's final mock that he has, and then also Mike Band of NFL Next Gen Stats, then Adam Rank, always a fan favorite with the Chicago Bears, and then also Field and Mel Kiper combined to do a 3-round mock draft. So we're going to be going through all 4 of those picks and also talk a little bit about some of the players that are still left over. And also the question, did any of those draft Hampton? Because we were just talking about Omarion Hampton. Let's get right into it and let's talk about Mel Kiper's final mock draft, where Mel Kiper, big time guy, very, very plugged into the NFL. So let's just kind of see what he had for the first 9 picks, and then we'll unveil the number 10 pick for the Bears. So first off, goes Cam Ward out of Miami, going number 1 to the Titans. Then Travis Hunter going to the Browns. Now the consensus is that is kind of set in stone. That's kind of what everybody's saying, is that it does seem like those are kind of the 2 ones, the 2 spots that, put it in stone. That's what they want to go with. Then next, this is where it can get a little bit interesting because some rumors of Shedeur Sanders meeting, he met with the Giants, some talks about that, but still, Mel has the Giants going with Abdul Carter here. And then at number 4, Will Campbell out of LSU, the offensive tackle, going to the Patriots. Mason Graham, who, funny thing, Mason Graham was spotted with a Jacksonville Jaguars shirt on during his workout today. So, and it wasn't at Jacksonville. So a lot of people were talking about is Mason Graham kind of buying into this whole Jaguars thing, literally wearing a Jag shirt. And also, the more that I think about it, it does feel like that's also a good spot for him because they have a brand new GM, wants to kind of take a very safe type of player. And also keep in mind too, their GM over at Jacksonville. If you think about the types of players that they drafted last year, they drafted Braden Fisk. The year before that, Kobe Turner. All of which, right? Because what is Mason Graham's biggest question mark? Unfortunately, it's his arm length. A lot of people are questioning Mason Graham's arm length. And Mason Graham, I think it's like 32.5-inch arms. Well, if you look at Braden Fisk and you also look at Kobe Turner, both of which 32-inch arms. So to me, it seems like a very, very common thing that, hey, it seems like Mason Graham is going to go over to the Jaguars. Then at number 6, we have Ashton Genty going to the Raiders. A lot of people saying too, I was hearing Field Yates talk about this. Everyone's talking about Ashton Genty going there, but also too, this might be a spot that gets a little shaken up just because Spytech, their new GM, loves offensive linemen. So that's why some people are saying, well, maybe they don't actually go Ashton Genty, but really these 6 picks seem to be the general consensus. So if we keep on going through this, we have Armand Membou going to the Jets at 7. Seems like a match made in heaven. They need a right tackle. Membou's a right tackle. And then Jalen Walker going to the Carolina Panthers at 8. And then the big news that shocks everybody, Shedeur Sanders at 9 to the Saints. And the big reason for that, if you didn't hear it, that Derek Carr supposedly has some injuries that people are saying, hey, you got to watch out for this, because I think it's like his shoulder or something like that, where it seems like he's kind of getting brought back and might not be able to play a lot next season. So pretty good board right there. Seems like it's kind of the general consensus of where people are kind of guessing where people go. But also, let me just see the comments. Sports Chicago style, what's good? It's been a while. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Indeed. Nice seeing you out there for sure. But yeah, so let's go back to this just to see what we think about this. So far, it seems very chalk. One other thing I want to talk about is the Panthers pick with Jalen Walker. Eric Eager over there, formerly of PFF, is actually in charge of their analytics. And I want to just point that out because I actually listened to his show a lot when he had a show before going over to the Carolina Panthers, and he's big on like the high value positions, edge rusher, corner, wide receivers, obviously quarterback, things like that. So I think that they're going to attack, like if they end up going with the Jalen Walker, they're going to get him with the idea that he's going to be more of that edge rusher, or maybe even like a Mike Green over someone like a Jalen Walker, just because of if Eric Eager, who I've listened to a whole bunch, has an ear, he's probably going to go with someone that's that high value position at that spot. So who do the Bears go at number 10? At number 10, Mel Kiper has them selecting Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State. Not a huge shocker there, right? I see a lot of people projecting Tyler Warren out there. And now with Omarion Hampton, more and more people starting to talk a little bit more about Omarion Hampton potentially being out there as well. But Tyler Warren, 6'6", 261. We've talked about this guy a lot. I think the reason why he's kind of now the favorite to be there for the Bears is, first off, just with the tight end position, going top 10, very unlikely for a lot of these. But also, I think the reason why we love him going to the Bears and the option for him to be out there for the Bears is because just how we can leverage him. You can put him in the backfield. You can put him at fullback. You can put him out wide. You can put him in the slot. He's a very, very diverse tight end that you can have out there. And also not a bad blocker. I'd still say, like, I don't think he holds blocks as well as you want, but I think overall, like, I do not mind this pick. But that's the thing. They want to get somebody that can at least be some sort of depth piece and a weapon or a chess piece that they can move around there. The other piece too that I do like about them getting someone like a Tyler Warren is this also helps you where you don't feel like, hey, we need to get like a wide receiver 3, because we can use Tyler Warren as that wide receiver 3. And also they like using 2 tight ends in a lot of sets. Tight end that we got, he's never been that great. And I guarantee you with a lot of Bears fans, we'll kind of forget that he's out there because he's more of a blocking tight end, quote unquote, but he's not a great blocking tight end. So I like the idea of them going with a Tyler Warren. So that's who Kiper has the Bears going with his first mock. So now let's go over there. Real deal. Not a big fan of that, saying very bad pick. Taco Man saying it's a sexy pick. He likes it. You add depth to the line, either one. Then Joe also saying too, Ben might view him more like a weapon. I agree. I think it's definitely that weapon pick. I can move him around. He also breaks a lot of tackles too. I think I have it in the graphic. Second most broken tackles for tight ends. So something that, Laporta did a lot coming out of college, something that Warren has done as well. So now let's get into Mike Band, where, yes, this is the picture of him. I couldn't find a normal picture because actually the NFL Next Gen Stats photo of him is the NFL Next Gen Stats. So this might not even be him, but this is the guy we're going with. He is an employee of NFL Network, big into their Next Gen Stats that we actually use in our graphics. as well. Really, really like their stuff. So he created his first mock draft. And I kind of want to show you all what we have, because it's very, when I was putting these graphics together, I was like, wait a second. This has a common thread to it. So his first pick, Cam Ward. Second pick, Travis Hunter. Third pick, Abdul Carter. Fourth, Will Campbell. Fifth, Mason Graham. Followed by Ashton Genty. Followed by Armand Membu. Followed by Jalen Walker. Followed by Shedeur Sanders. I kid you not, exact same. Both what Mike Band had and also what Mel Kiper had. And the reason why I bring that up too is because they're the exact same mock drafts in the first 9 picks. Because this is where it seems like everybody's going. It seems like there's some chatter about Jalen Walker. Now, this does not mean this is exactly how it's going to go in the first 10 picks. It never does that. But the big reason why people believe this is, hey, Patriots, you need a left tackle. There's Will Campbell. Hey, Giants, take the best player that's available, Abdul Carter. The first 2 picks, everyone's saying that those are kind of set. And then also, Ashton Genty. Seems like Spy Tech is, I think it was his son saying you have to take him. And Armand Membu, right tackle, perfect fit. And then I think at 8 and 9, that's where you get the question marks, where rumors about Jalen Walker and also people mocking Shedeur there, saying, hey, you need a quarterback, so here's a quarterback. And also you have a brand new head coach, so pair him up with the quarterback. So now, who does Mike Band have the Bears taking, you might ask? We have the exact same first 10 picks. He has them taking Tyler Warren. So I wanted to throw that out there because I was like, oh, brand new mock draft. Well, basically the first 10 are literally the exact same as Mel Kiper's. They came out, I believe, on the exact same day. So I don't think that they copied each other. It's more so just the common thread. Like we're saying, it seems like it's going to go that way. It seems like, well, Tyler Warren's going to be there. And hey, if they want Omarion Hampton, they can. Or if they want Kelvin Banks as the left tackle, or like a Mike Green, if they believe that the personality stuff all passes, those are kind of your options, really. But a second mock draft having Tyler Warren going to the Bears. And Joe asking, who's my comp for Warren? I actually went with Travis Kelce, because Travis Kelce, more of a receiver. I don't think that Warren is a gigantic blocker like some others. And also I felt like he kind of breaks some of the tackles. It's not a perfect comp for it, but I think if anyone is going to get that Kelce comp, it's kind of Warren, where just Kelce is such a smart, instinctual route runner, and just someone that you can kind of play everywhere on that line. So that was it. I don't love it, but I like it. I like it at least a little bit. And also Taco Man saying, who's the quarterback for the Raiders? Yeah, Geno Smith. Yep, so they have Geno Smith, and that's why they're like, hey, maybe we can pair him up with a running back with Ashton Genty. So those are the first 2 mock drafts, literally the exact same. But Adam Rank, everyone's favorite person on NFL Network, Adam Rank goes out there, and this one is different. So God bless Adam Rank for this. So Adam Rank goes out there and says, okay, I'll give you Cam Ward at number 1. Then he goes, you know what? We're going to go Abdul Carter, edge out of Penn State, number 2 to the Browns. So this is the other thing too. To me, I like Abdul Carter more. There's people that have brought up that there's a question with his injury with his foot. But I would, if I were the Browns, I would actually take Abdul Carter, because you would have Abdul Carter, Myles Garrett. That would just be an insane edge rush. So I see what Rank is doing here. And it might be something that what he would do rather than what they would do. So the other piece too, he's going Ashton Genty, number 3 to the Giants. And what he kind of mentioned was, hey, you know, with Ashton Genty, for him, it was, you lost Saquon Barkley, so let's add Ashton Genty at number 3. And then Travis Hunter to the Patriots at 4, getting them a corner and wide receiver. And then the surprises keep on coming, where they have the Jaguars going Tyler Warren, tight end, out of Penn State to the Jags. So a mock draft that doesn't give us Tyler Warren. And then at number 6, the Raiders going Jahdae Barron, cornerback out of Texas. And I want to stop with this one, right? Because actually, so first off, Jags, you get a tight end, you get a playmaker that's out there to kind of pair with Trevor Lawrence, because you need somebody to pair with them. That's kind of the logic there. But with Jahdae Barron, the reason why I think that corner is actually a huge need is because they don't have any corners. If you look at the depth chart of the Raiders, they really don't have corners. So that's where you look at Will Johnson out of Michigan or Jahdae Barron. That is something that I think is the big piece there. So you have Jahdae Barron going out there to the Raiders, then Colston Loveland, tight end out of Michigan, going to the Jets. Jets don't necessarily have a tight end. And yet again, Adam Rank trying to match kind of the big needs. So yeah, they could go offensive line, but you know what? You're taking the special mover at tight end and going with that. And then at 8, they have the Panthers going with Matthew Golden, the wide receiver out of Texas, at 8. Now, I think the reason why over like a Ted McMillan from Arizona is because Ted McMillan, a lot of questions about how much does he love football? How much does he love the game? Matthew Golden, more that quick, fast wide receiver, can get open very easily. Like I said, something that I could actually see the Panthers going this route if they deem that, hey, Matthew Golden gets open, creates a lot of separation. That's going to translate. And also, let's get Bryce Young, somebody who's not over 30 at the wide receiver position and someone that kind of can be a good complementary wide receiver. And then at 9, Will Johnson going to the Saints. They do not have good cornerbacks. And yet again, just because Derek Carr hurt himself does not, or he's not 100%, doesn't mean that they have to use that number 9 pick to go after a quarterback. So that leaves us with a couple options. That leaves us with, Will Campbell potentially being there as well, Armand Membu, and then also who he ultimately ends up picking, Mason Graham, defensive tackle out of Michigan, going to the Chicago Bears. That's who he ends up picking. That's who he ends up taking. And quite frankly, I like that. And let's see, for me, Mason Graham, I really like this pick. I do like it. Now, I will say, watching his workout video that he just posted looked very awkward. Did not like that. So he did take it down. But really, Mason Graham, he's just a high motor guy, and you just take the best player available and I think that he's a better player than what Will Campbell is and other things like that. So Mason Graham, you take the person with the high energy. I don't mind that. I don't mind it, especially the way that the board fell in Adam Rank's draft. So we have 2 mock drafts where the Bears are taking, where the Bears end up taking a tight end with Warren, and then one with the Bears taking Mason Graham. Let's see what y'all are saying. Yeah, I agree with the comments. The Ashton Genty to the Giants. My dad was actually telling me about that because he's like, he watched a show that I guess was talking about like, hey, they need buyers. They need to get someone back from Barkley. I don't buy that. Like, I think that would be a terrible way to kind of run your franchise of like, kind of like the draft day scenario when they, if anyone's seen Draft Day, terribly awesome movie. I watch it every year before Draft Day just because it's such a bad movie in like the best ways possible. And every year it just gets worse and worse. And I just enjoy it that much more. But yeah, it's like this, there's a scene out of that where they trade away the pick and then they go like, hey, we could have had Bo Callahan. We could have had this quarterback. And so then they were trying to make it up to the fans. I can't see the Giants trying to do that. If they do, that's a terribly ran organization. If they're like, hey, sorry for Saquon, let's give you Ashton Genty. But that's what we have out there. That's the overall pick. And then, yeah, I see Taco Van Genty, no matter what. And Real Deal likes the Graham pick. I do agree. I do like that Graham pick. That's the thing. To me, take those blue chip / borderline blue chip types of players. And actually, for anybody that's downloaded the draft guide, shameless plug for it. I actually have a page that kind of talks about some blue chip players. There's only 3 consensus blue chip players being, actually just pulling it up. We have Abdul Carter, we have Travis Hunter, and Ashton Genty. Those are truly the blue chip players. But then like kind of that tier 2, that's like right below them. That's Mason Graham and Tyler Warren. It's those 2 and that's it. And then besides that, below that, it's everyone else. And I do know some people are going to yell at me and say, hey, what about Will Campbell? Will Campbell is the Paris Johnson of this draft. I was actually just listening to Todd McShay talk about that too. Todd McShay and his co-host. And yeah, they share my same sentiment where he's offensive tackle number 1, but he's not at the same level of Joe Alt. He's not at the same level as Penei Sewell or those other blue chip tackle prospects. He's good, but he's good. Like I said, Paris Johnson good, but not necessarily those other tackles type of good. So yeah, there's still lots of problems on tape, or there's problems on tape because everyone's got problems on tape, right? Let's see what's there. Brad, would you make a trade with Jags number 10, 41 for Genty? That is something that I would not be surprised if the Bears did. I will definitely say that. That is something that I would not be surprised. What I would be very hesitant to. The fan in me would be like, heck yeah. But the analyst in me is like, nah, you want your picks. You want to trade down. You want to do stuff like that. So, but I would not be surprised because also you have a rookie GM at the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's probably saying, hey, if I trade back, I get more picks. I can get more draft capital. I can also still take, potentially Tyler Warren or even Mason Graham if he drops then. So I get Mason Graham at 10 and I get a 2nd round pick. That's something that he might really, really like. So that could, if I were the Jags, I would definitely do that. But if I was the Bears, probably not. But I could see the Bears doing that if that really is Ben Johnson's guy. It's kind of like when you're dating someone and you just go to a nicer restaurant or you spend a little bit of extra money. Maybe that's what he would do. Brian Poles would do in that situation. So now let's go into the last mock draft that we're going to be talking about. 3-round mock draft. Mel Kiper and Field Yates combined together to create a mock draft. And so with this mock draft, they basically were alternating picks. One would pick one would take odds, one would take evens, and they would just go back and forth. And for those on YouTube, you already know what the pick is because it's in the top left corner or top right corner. Just realized that. But anyways, what they did with this mock draft, believe it or not, it is the exact same order as Mel Kiper's final mock. And keep in mind, Field Yates is also helping with this as well. Literally, it's the exact same as Mel Kiper's final mock and also the exact same as Mike Band's mock draft that he just did. Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Will Campbell to the Patriots, Mason Graham to the Jags, Ashton Genty to the Raiders, Armand Membu to the Jets, Walker to the Panthers, and Shedeur Sanders to the Saints, and Tyler Warren to the Bears. Yet again, another draft pick of Tyler Warren down to the Bears. So 3 out of the 4, Tyler Warren's, and then in Adam ranks, Tyler Warren goes a little bit higher. So we go with Mason Graham. Quite frankly, with those 4, I don't mind those picks. Don't mind those picks at all. If we came away with Warren or Graham, I'm celebrating. But like we said, this is a 2-round or 3-round mock draft. So we go all the way down into the 2nd round. Now, I'm not going to go through all those individual picks. We'll talk about some interesting people that are still available. But we go all the way down to pick 39, where the Chicago Bears select. Not Mason Graham. I switched over. For those listening, I switched over to Mason Graham. At pick 39, the Chicago Bears select Travion Henderson, Ohio State running back, 5'10", 202. Quite frankly, I love that. I really like it. Like I've said before, I'm not necessarily in love with the Ohio State running backs, but I like me as somebody that watches the Bears and understands that they will not take everybody that I like or everybody or the way that I would do something. I like the idea of them at least taking Travion Henderson because it seems this is someone who was with Eric or knows Eric Bieniemy. And there have been those rumors or MJD's mock draft where the Bears went with Travion Henderson at 10. That'd be way too rich. But man, this is just a very, very good player. Travion Henderson just can be that all-around running back player. Now, there's still some questions with some of his pass pro. I also still have some questions with just he kind of has some injury histories too with his game. And So I still have some skepticism about him, but I think that if you bring him in to a room with DeAndre Swift, I still like that you have at least two different running backs inside of that room that are starting caliber, that now you feel a little bit better with putting in a Travion Henderson out there. So that's who they have the Bears going with at pick 39. But now as we go over to pick 41, they have the Bears taking at pick 41, Nick Scorton, defensive end or edge out of Texas A&M, 6'3", 257 junior. I really like this. We had this guy going in our fan mock draft that we did last episode, and this is a good player. Like all other Texas A&M players, didn't have the production you necessarily wanted, but man, 17% pass rush win rate, 80.6 pass rush grade, 74.4 run grade. This guy is a bigger defensive end. He's right around that borderline of 260. That's the size that they like at defensive end. And quite frankly, I like this. I like him in the second round because do I think that he pops like a first rounder? No. But do I like him in the second round with other defensive ends? Yeah, I like that. Like both of these second round picks, I wouldn't be necessarily jumping for joy. I'd be like, yeah, these are good picks. Good, solid picks. If you come away with Tyler Warren, Nick Scorton, and Travion Henderson with your first three picks, don't mind that at all. Right? Those are good picks, sound picks. Really, really like that. And then last at pick, and actually the other thing that I want to say too, after those picks, there wasn't really anybody that should have gone in the first round except for James Pierce Jr. He went a couple picks after, and I feel like they didn't go with James Pierce Jr. just because it doesn't really fit the Bears mantra, right? If somebody's done something bad, you're off the board. And James Pierce Jr., character concerns, off the board, right? We've seen this time and time again with the Chicago Bears. Now, new regime, so we'll see what they think. And also, a lot of it is more so about his personality rather than, say, something like illegal off the field or anything like that, as far as we know. But really, James Pierce, that's the only person that should have gone in the first round that was still around in that area. But now we get into the third round. And the last pick that they have the Bears taking at the third round is Ariante Ursary, Minnesota offensive tackle, 6'6", 330, redshirt senior. And this guy I really like. He's the consensus number 40 player overall, tackle number 6, projected to go in the second. So if you can nab him in the third round, I really like him. In the third? And yet again, like I said, I was listening to Todd McShay talk today, and they were talking offensive line. And I agree with him, where the thing with Ursary is there's not many people that move the way he moves at his size at 330 pounds. That is the big thing. His size at that tackle spot, you take that. You take the risk at that. If it's a third round pick, heck yeah. And he isn't really even that bad. When you look at his PFF grades, you have 77.5, which was the 56th best grade out of all offensive linemen. Also, he is a left tackle, and also he does have this powerful lead block attitude with him. So if you use him to replace Braxton Jones's best trait is his lead block ability in the run game. And Ariante Ursary, his best trait is exactly that. Now, I think Ursary does need to learn a little bit more from experienced pass rushers, because you saw people kind of abuse his momentum against him, where they'll pretend to go outside and he's always beat by inside moves. They'll pretend to go outside and then just swipe him inside and get there. But still, only allowed 10 hurries, 1 hit, and 1 sack last season. Pretty darn good. So I really like that. And just in case if anyone else was curious, the other people that were still on the board when the Bears were picking in that third round, Princely Umanmielen, the defensive end out of Florida. We have Tyleik Williams, the defensive tackle out of Ohio State, more that run stuffer. Then still there was Alfred Collins, D tackle out of Texas, Jack Sawyer, defensive end out of Ohio State, TJ Sanders, D tackle out of South Carolina, and Trey Harris, who Bears have met with, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. So a lot of those players that I've rattled off are kind of being mocked in that second round, especially Princely Umanmielen. you're starting to see them kind of drop a little bit more. So it's interesting to see those guys down in that third round range. So that's what we have for these mock drafts. So let me know what you think down below in the comments. Personally, I really liked these mock drafts overall. We're also talking, man, I see the question, do we know if Brax will be ready? Not liking Quran. Great question. Because from what we know so far is that Quran Amagaji, first off, Braxton Jones, what Ben Johnson has said is he doesn't think that he's going to be ready. Now, the big question is, well, what is that? Right? How much of a time frame is this with him coming back after his injury? Because his injury was later on in the year. The other thing too, so I think there's that question. My guess is that he'll be back, but you just want to know, okay, at what percent? Also with learning a new offense, how comfortable do they feel with him coming back? And also too, they have scouted out a decent amount of offensive tackles. I think it's more so going to be, hey, if you're available, right? And I saw another graphic today talking about offensive tackles don't go in the second round because all borderline offensive tackles, like your Tyler Guytons and people like, and even like Josh Connerly, who's coming out, a lot of them go in the first round because people say, I need an offensive tackle. I cannot wait. I have to get them right now. And the next thing too is with Quran Amagaji. I know a lot of us, I think the thing, I liked Quran Amagaji coming out because kind of part of this where offensive linemen are bad after you get past the first round. Like they're generally bad. That's why everybody drafts all the good ones in the first round. And then after that, you have like developmental question marks, people that are awful at blocking, but have the athletic upside. That's why to me, Ursary, I'm actually shocked that he's one of those where he can actually block and he's athletic and you just don't expect it. He's not this elite blocker by any stretch, but still very good for someone that's going to be a day 2 pick. With Quran, I like his traits. He just didn't really show us much. So that's where I liked him coming out of college, but now it's okay. Well, you had leg injuries. You have to do some squats and you have to then shape up because the tape, he was not good. There was flashes of brilliance, but he just was not good. So I think that's where my concerns are. Have I given up on him? No, I definitely have not given up on him yet. But do I like the idea of him being the backup going in case someone goes down? Terrifies me. And now Teron Smith? I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. The offensive tackle from the Cowboys just retired as well. So that's one less person that we could add on. So let me know what y'all think down below in the comments about those mock drafts. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there on YouTube. I'm going to go record that wide receiver episode. So we have that tomorrow so y'all can learn about a lot of these wide receivers. So make sure to also download the draft guide when you can. And with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair and you know that she's a